Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, buckle up, because today we're diving deep into one of America's most enduring myths. You've heard it, right? The classic line, Washington, D.C. was built on a swamp. It's practically etched into our collective consciousness. But what does that really mean? Is it fact, fiction, or something in between? For centuries, that phrase has conjured images of mosquitoes, murky waters, and a city perhaps founded on unstable ground, both literally and figuratively. It's become this incredible, all-encompassing metaphor, a snappy shorthand for everything from political gridlock to the perceived inefficiency of government. Whenever someone wants to criticize the workings of the Capitol, out comes the swamp reference, ready to sting. But beyond the political jests and cultural jabs, there's a fascinating story waiting to be uncovered, a tale of land, water, vision, and extraordinary human effort. Now, before we wade any deeper, let's set the scene. Imagine the late 18th century. Picture the confluence of the Potomac and Anacostia rivers, a vast, low-lying area. It wasn't exactly a pristine, crystal-clear lake, nor was it a dense, impenetrable jungle swamp like you might find in the Everglades. Instead, it was a complex mosaic of tidal marshes, wetlands, mudflats, and some higher, drier ground. The air would have been thick with the hum of insects, the croaking of frogs, and the gentle lapping of water against marsh grasses. Mist would have often clung to the trees in the mornings, giving the landscape an almost mystical, ethereal quality. It was a place teeming with life, from waterfowl to fish, a rich ecosystem where the land and water danced together in a constant, ever-changing embrace. This wasn't some forgotten corner of the wilderness. Indigenous peoples had lived and thrived here for thousands of years, understanding its rhythms and resources. But to the European settlers, particularly the land speculators and nation builders of the newly formed United States, this landscape presented both a challenge and an opportunity. When President George Washington, with the invaluable assistance of Pierre L'Enfant, began to scout for the ideal location for the nation's permanent capital, they weren't just looking for pretty views. They were seeking strategic advantages, access to a navigable river for trade and defense, a central location for the burgeoning republic, and a site that could inspire awe and respect. So, how did this actual landscape, this mix of marsh and dry land, morph into the enduring swamp myth? Well, part of it is literal truth, just perhaps not the whole truth. Large portions of the chosen site, especially along the Anacostia River and Tiber Creek, were indeed low-lying and marshy. These areas were prone to flooding, bred mosquitoes, and were generally considered unhealthy by the standards of the day. The idea was to drain, fill, and transform this land, a monumental task that would take decades, if not centuries. But the phrase also quickly acquired a metaphorical life of its own. From the very beginning, even before the city was fully established, political rivalries and sectional tensions were rife. Those who opposed the capital's location, or the very idea of a strong central government, found the swamp imagery incredibly potent. It was easy to portray the federal government as mired in corruption, inefficiency, or just plain mud, especially if you were trying to rally support for a different agenda. The image of a grand experiment, bogged down in a literal and figurative quagmire, was a powerful rhetorical weapon. Over time, this metaphor only deepened. The swamp became shorthand for everything people disliked about politics. The backroom deals, the lobbying, the legislative inertia, the feeling that decisions were made in a murky, inaccessible place. It's a term that transcends political parties, too. You'll hear it from critics across the ideological spectrum, all using it to express frustration with the status quo. It's a testament to the power of language. How a simple description of terrain can evolve into such a loaded and versatile symbol. But here's the kicker. Beneath all the political rhetoric, the jests, and the historical tidbits, there's a truly amazing story of human ingenuity and sheer will. To take this landscape, a mix of wetlands and rolling hills, and transform it into one of the world's most iconic capital cities, replete with magnificent buildings, grand avenues, and sophisticated infrastructure, was an engineering marvel of its time. It involved massive drainage projects, significant land filling, and the careful channeling of natural waterways. The visionaries who planned and built DC didn't just build asterisk on asterisk a swamp. In many ways, they built asterisk over asterisk, and asterisk through asterisk. It shaping the very earth to fit their ambitious dream of a new nation's capital. So, while the myth of DC being built on a swamp is undeniably catchy and contains a kernel of truth about the original landscape, it also obscures a much more complex and fascinating reality. It's a story of nature meeting ambition, of political symbolism intertwining with monumental construction. It's a reminder that sometimes the most enduring phrases we use about our world hide layers of history, struggle, and incredible achievement. In our next chapter, we'll delve deeper into the actual landscape of the late 1700s. We'll explore Tiber Creek, Goose Creek, and all the forgotten waterways that once crisscrossed the future capital, and how they dictated L'Enfant's grand design. Trust me, it's more intricate than you might imagine. Thanks so much for joining me on this journey into DC's watery past. If you enjoyed this dive into history and myth-busting, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. What are your initial thoughts on the swamp myth? Let me know in the comments below. See you next time. Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're taking a journey back in time. Long before the bustling streets and iconic monuments of Washington, D.C. came to be, we're diving into Chapter 2, the Potomac's gentle flow, exploring the serene, untamed landscape that once defined this region. Imagine a world where nature reigned supreme, where the rhythm of the water dictated life, and the land told tales of ancient forces. Picture this. It's the late 1700s. No grand Capitol building, no Lincoln Memorial, just a pristine wilderness waiting to be discovered. The star of our story, the majestic Potomac River, wasn't just a waterway. It was the lifeblood, a powerful yet gentle force that sculpted the very essence of this terrain. It wasn't merely flowing. It was breathing, carving, and nurturing the land around it with an ancient wisdom. Its broad expanse, shimmering under the sun, hinted at the vastness of the continent it traversed, carrying stories from the Allegheny Mountains all the way to the Chesapeake Bay. But the Potomac didn't work alone. Its story is intertwined with another, smaller yet equally significant, player. Tiber Creek. Now, if you know modern DC, you might be wondering where Tiber Creek is. That's because today, much of it flows underground, a hidden memory beneath the concrete. Back in Tiber Creek was a vibrant, winding waterway, a vital tributary that snaked through the landscape. It wasn't just a stream. It was a character in this natural drama, a lively artery feeding into the Grand Potomac. It meandered through dense forests and open meadows, providing fresh water, carving out valleys, and supporting a rich tapestry of life. And then there were the tidal wetlands. Oh, these wetlands. They weren't just marshy areas. They were dynamic, living ecosystems, constantly shifting with the ebb and flow of the tides. Imagine vast expanses of tall grasses swaying in the breeze, reflecting the sky, teeming with life. These wetlands were the lungs of the land, purifying the water, providing crucial habitats for countless species of birds, fish, and mammals. They acted as natural sponges, absorbing floodwaters, protecting the land from erosion, and creating a unique environment where freshwater and saltwater met, fostering incredible biodiversity. This was a world of serene beauty, where the air hummed with insects, and the calls of waterfowl echoed across the tranquil waters. The meeting of the Potomac River, Tiber Creek, and these sprawling tidal wetlands wasn't just a geographical arrangement. It was a symphony of nature. The Potomac, wide and deep, brought the grandeur of a major river. Tiber Creek, smaller but spirited, contributed its freshwater energy, creating intricate patterns across the landscape. And the wetlands, ever-changing with the tide, added a layer of mystery and abundance, a constant dance between land and water. This natural trinity shaped the contours of the land, influencing everything from the soil composition to the types of plants and animals that thrived here. If you stood on the banks of the Potomac in the late 1700s, you would have seen a landscape utterly different from today. Instead of monuments, you'd behold colossal trees, ancient oaks, towering sycamores, majestic maples, forming a dense, unbroken canopy stretching as far as the eye could see. The air would be filled with the rich scent of earth, damp leaves, and blooming wild flora. The sounds wouldn't be traffic horns, but the rustling of leaves in the wind, the chirping of unseen birds, the distant croak of a bullfrog, and the gentle lapping of water against the shore. The Potomac's flow, too gentle, was powerful enough to transport sediment, shaping islands and sandbars, and continuously redefining its own course. It was a river that dictated the terms, its presence defining the very essence of the land. Tiber Creek, in its own humble way, carved out smaller channels and valleys, contributing to the topographical diversity, and the wetlands, with their constant cycle of inundation and exposure, were fertile grounds for an astonishing variety of life, a natural pantry and nursery for the region's wildlife. This was a landscape of pristine beauty, a truly wild frontier. There were no paved roads, no bridges spanning the mighty river, just natural crossings and the pathways carved by centuries of animal migration and indigenous presence. The indigenous communities understood and respected this intricate balance, living in harmony with the land, moving with its seasons, and drawing sustenance from its abundant resources. Their footprints were light, leaving the natural world largely undisturbed, a testament to their deep connection with the environment. Imagine canoeing down the Potomac, its waters clear and teeming with fish. You'd glide past untouched forests, hearing the calls of eagles soaring overhead, perhaps catching a glimpse of a deer venturing to the water's edge. As you approached the mouth of Tiber Creek, you'd notice the subtle shift in the current, the blending of waters, and the dense, vibrant green of the wetland vegetation. This was a place where nature's design was paramount, where every ripple, every rustle, every scent told a story of an undisturbed ecosystem. The very choice of this location for the future capital was, in many ways, a testament to its natural advantages, the navigability of the Potomac, the rich resources of the surrounding land, and the strategic importance of the waterways made it an ideal, albeit wild, canvas. But before any blueprints were drawn, before any cornerstones were laid, this land was a masterpiece of natural geography shaped by the patient, enduring forces of the Potomac River, the lively contributions of Tiber Creek, and the vital pulse of its tidal wetlands. It's truly incredible to think about how much this landscape has transformed. Yet the essence of these waterways, though altered, still flows beneath the city we know today. Understanding this natural history gives us a deeper appreciation for the ground beneath our feet and the enduring power of nature. Thank you so much for joining me on this peaceful journey back in time. If you found this glimpse into pre-Washington, D.C. fascinating, please hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to our channel for more explorations into history and nature. Your support means the world. Until next time, keep exploring. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we re-dive in headfirst into one of the most incredible stories of urban planning and national ambition, the birth of Washington, D.C. You see, before it was the bustling capital we know today, this entire city was a blank canvas, a grand vision sketched from scratch by some truly remarkable minds. We're talking about Chapter 3 of our journey, a capital from scratch, and trust me, it's a story packed with intrigue, ambition, and a whole lot of mud. Our tale begins with two giants of American history, George Washington himself, and a brilliant, albeit sometimes temperamental, French-American engineer named Pierre Charles L'Enfant. Imagine the scene. America is a brand new nation, full of hope but also grappling with its identity. They needed a capital, a seat of government that wasn't beholden to any existing state, a place that could truly represent the unity and aspirations of the entire country. And Washington, with his characteristic foresight, knew exactly what he wanted. A federal city, designed from the ground up, that would stand as a monumental symbol of their fledgling republic. This wasn't just about putting up buildings. It was about laying the foundation for a national identity, a place where all Americans, regardless of their state, could feel a sense of ownership and pride. It was a bold, audacious dream, especially for a nation still finding its feet after a long and arduous war for independence. Now, why asterisk? This asterisk, particular spot, that's where the genius of their choice truly shines. They picked a location right on the Potomac River, carefully situated between the northern and southern states. This wasn't just a random parcel of land. It was a strategic decision, a powerful symbol of unity, designed to bridge the geographical and sometimes ideological divides that were already beginning to emerge between the nascent regions. In a young nation where regional loyalties were still incredibly strong, establishing a capital that didn't favor one section over another was paramount. It was a diplomatic stroke of genius, intended to foster a sense of national cohesion and prevent any one state from dominating the federal government. Imagine the careful political maneuvering, the debates, the compromises that must have gone into selecting this precise spot. It was a delicate balancing act, and Washington, ever the statesman, pulled it off brilliantly. They weren't just building a city. They were building a bridge, a place where North and South could meet, negotiate, and forge a common future. But here's the kicker. This prime location was unexactly prime real estate in its natural state. Oh no! If you look at the early maps, the ones L'Enfant meticulously drew up, you'll see something fascinating. The planned area was crisscrossed with numerous watercourses and, believe it or not, extensive mud. We're talking about a swampy, humid, and challenging landscape. It wasn't some pristine, easily buildable plain. This wasn't a matter of simply clearing some trees. It was about taming nature itself, transforming a wild, untamed environment into a grand, ordered metropolis. Imagine the mosquitoes, the dampness, the sheer physical labor involved. It makes the achievements of these early planners and builders even more astounding. They weren't just conceptualizing a city. They were fundamentally altering the land itself to fit their magnificent vision. These early maps aren't just historical documents. They were testaments to the incredible ambition and perseverance of those who dared to dream of a capital built from scratch, against all natural odds. L'Enfant, armed with his European training and a keen eye for monumental design, saw past the swamps and envisioned wide avenues, grand public spaces, and strategically placed government buildings. He brought with him the classical ideals of urban planning, inspired by cities like Paris and Rome, but adapted them to the unique American spirit. He imagined a city of impressive vistas, where every major building had a commanding presence and was connected by broad, tree-lined boulevards. His plan wasn't just practical. It was poetic, designed to inspire awe and respect for the new nation. He didn't just draw lines on a map. He imbued them with meaning, creating a spatial narrative of power, democracy, and aspiration. This wasn't going to be just another colonial town. This was to be a city of global significance, a beacon of Republican ideals. However, turning L'Enfant's grand vision into reality was a monumental undertaking, fraught with challenges. Think about it. They had to drain those marshes, level the land, and essentially create solid ground where swamp had once reigned. This required an immense amount of engineering, backbreaking manual labor, and resources that were often scarce in the fledgling nation. The logistics alone were mind-boggling. They didn't have heavy machinery. Everything was done with shovels, picks, and sheer human determination. The early days of construction were characterized by hardship, disease, and slow progress. Workers battled malaria from the swamps, and the sheer scale of the project must have seemed insurmountable at times. It was a testament to the resilience of the American spirit that they persevered, laying brick by brick, foundation by foundation, in the face of such adversity. Beyond the physical challenges, there were also significant political hurdles. L'Enfant, brilliant as he was, had a notoriously difficult personality. He clashed frequently with the commissioners appointed to oversee the project, often making decisions independently and refusing to compromise. He believed so passionately in his grand design that he couldn't tolerate any deviation, seeing it as an affront to the integrity of his vision. This led to constant friction and ultimately his dismissal by President Washington. It was a bittersweet moment. The man who gave the city its initial, iconic shape was not there to see it rise. His departure was a huge blow, but his meticulously drawn plans, luckily, were preserved and became the blueprint for what would eventually become Washington, D.C. This tale highlights the tension between visionary genius and the practicalities of governance and collaboration. After L'Enfant's departure, the task of continuing his vision fell to others, most notably Andrew Ellicott, who painstakingly resurveyed and implemented L'Enfant's original plans, the capital slowly but surely began to take shape. While the grand buildings and wide avenues were still largely dreams on paper, the groundwork was being laid. The initial steps involved setting up temporary government offices, building rudimentary housing for workers, and establishing the basic infrastructure needed to support a growing population. It was a slow, deliberate process, not the overnight transformation that some might imagine. The city grew organically around L'Enfant's geometric plan, gradually filling in the spaces he had so carefully designated. By 1800, with President John Adams at the helm, the federal government officially relocated to the new capital. Imagine the scene. The president and Congress moving from Philadelphia to what was still very much a wilderness. A city of grand ambitions but few actual buildings. Abigail Adams, in her famous letters, described the new White House as unfinished, with only 6 rooms ready for occupancy, and the surrounding city as a sea of mud and unpaved roads. She even noted having to hang laundry in the East Room of the Executive Mansion. It was a far cry from the majestic capital we know today, a raw and rugged frontier town attempting to embody the ideals of a flourishing republic. These early accounts give us a vivid picture of the sheer determination and pioneering spirit that characterized the early days of Washington, D.C. They were truly building a capital from scratch, in every sense of the word. The story of Chapter 3. A capital from scratch isn't just about buildings and maps. It's about vision, resilience, political maneuvering, and the unwavering belief in the future of a new nation. It is a powerful reminder that even the grandest achievements often begin in the most challenging and unpromising of circumstances. From a swampy tract of land, envisioned by 2 extraordinary men, rose a city that would become a global symbol of democracy and freedom. The foundations they laid, both literally and figuratively, continued to shape our world today. What an incredible journey, right? It just goes to show you what incredible things can be achieved when people dare to dream big. If you found this historical deep dive as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories from history. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep bringing you these incredible tales. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we redive in headfirst into one of the most fascinating chapters in American history, the birth of a capital city, and specifically, the brilliant mind behind its iconic layout. We're talking about Pierre L'Enfant and his truly grand design for Washington, D.C. Get ready to explore a vision that was centuries ahead of its time, a plan that defied the very landscape it was meant to conquer. Imagine, if you will, the late 18th century. America is a young nation, fresh from revolution, and it needs a capital city worthy of its aspirations. Enter L'Enfant, a French-born architect and urban planner, who arrived with a blueprint in his mind that was nothing short of revolutionary. He envisioned a city of grandeur, scale, and strategic brilliance. Forget haphazard street grids. L'Enfant dreamed of something majestic, something European in its elegance, yet distinctly American in its purpose. His plan wasn't just a map, it was a statement. He laid out a geometric masterpiece, a tapestry of broad avenues radiating from central points, connecting key government buildings and monuments with direct lines of sight. Think grand circles, sweeping vistas, and intricate intersections designed not just for beauty, but for efficient movement and a palpable sense of national pride. He incorporated a system of diagonal avenues superimposed over a grid, creating those dramatic perspectives in public spaces we still admire today. It was a city designed to impress, to inspire, and to symbolize the enduring strength of a new republic. He wasn't just planning streets, he was orchestrating an urban symphony. But here's where the story gets really interesting. L'Enfant wasn't working with a blank slate in a perfect world. Oh no. The chosen site for the new capital was, to put it mildly, challenging. We're talking about a swampy, uneven terrain, riddled with creeks, hills, and marshland. Laying out those perfectly straight avenues, those magnificent circles, and ensuring those breathtaking vistas on such an irregular canvas. That was an immense, almost Herculean task. Picture the surveyors, struggling with their chains and compasses, trying to maintain L'Enfant's precise angles and distances across hills and valleys, through thickets and muddy expanses. It wasn't like today. With GPS and advanced mapping technology, this was done with sheer willpower, meticulous calculations, and an unwavering commitment to L'Enfant's vision. Every gentle rise, every subtle dip in the land presented a new obstacle, demanding ingenuity and perseverance. The very ground seemed to resist the ordered perfection L'Enfant sought to impose. And this leads us directly to the early struggles. The clash between idealism and practicality. L'Enfant's vision was undeniably idealistic. A perfect city born from abstract geometric principles. But the reality of a swampy, untamed landscape, coupled with the logistical and financial constraints of a fledgling nation, quickly brought these grand ideas into sharp relief. There were arguments, disagreements, and frustrations. L'Enfant was a man of unyielding vision, often inflexible when it came to his design. He believed so fervently in his plan that he was sometimes unwilling to compromise, even in the face of practical difficulties or political pressures. He famously clashed with the commissioners overseeing the project, who found his methods too autocratic and his budget demands too high. He even began demolishing buildings he felt were in the way of his planned avenues without consulting anyone, leading to a direct confrontation with Daniel Carroll, one of the original landowners. Ultimately, L'Enfant's idealism, while creating a plan of unparalleled brilliance, also led to his downfall. He was eventually dismissed from the project in 1792, just a year after starting, due to these disputes, and is strong-willed not to. It's one of those bittersweet moments in history. The architect of such an enduring legacy was not there to see its full realization. However, his dismissal didn't mean his plan was abandoned. Far from it. His core design, meticulously detailed and almost prophetically forward-looking, served as the foundational blueprint for the city. Andrew Ellicott, L'Enfant's former assistant, with the help of Benjamin Banner, used L'Enfant's original surveys and maps to continue the work, essentially preserving the grand vision. Even today, as you walk through Washington, D.C., you are walking through L'Enfant's mind, experiencing the grandeur he envisioned centuries ago, from the National Mall to the Capitol building. From the radiating avenues to the stately circles, every element speaks to L'Enfant's foresight. He didn't just design a city, he designed a stage for democracy, a place where monumental decisions would be made and history would unfold. His plan wasn't just about buildings and streets, it was about symbolism, about power, and about the enduring ideals of a nation. It's a testament to how a single, brilliant mind can shape the future for generations. So, the next time you see a picture of Washington, D.C., or better yet, if you ever visit, take a moment to appreciate the incredible journey from a challenging swampy terrain to the majestic capital we know today, all thanks to L'Enfant's incredible grand design and the struggles that ultimately forged its enduring legacy. What do you think about L'Enfant's vision? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this dive into urban planning history, please hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating stories, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel! Today, we re-diving into another fascinating chapter of our city's hidden history. Chapter 5, the Tiber Creek Challenge. You know, sometimes the most impactful stories are right beneath our feet. Or, in this case, a watery path that once snaked right through the heart of our capital. We're talking about Tiber Creek, also known as Goose Creek. This wasn't just some forgotten stream. It was a real living waterway that dramatically shaped the early days of our nation's capital. Imagine, right where bustling streets and iconic monuments stand today, there was a winding creek flowing through the landscape, a true force of nature in a city just beginning to take shape. Now, Tiber Creek was a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde character. On one hand, it was a beautiful, scenic feature. Picture this: a natural ribbon of water, sparkling in the sun, perhaps even a pleasant spot for a stroll or a moment of quiet reflection, providing life and beauty to the nascent city. It was an integral part of the natural landscape that L'Enfant and the early planners encountered, and in many ways, it offered a picturesque charm to an otherwise ambitious and sometimes raw construction site. It brought a touch of the wild, untamed beauty of the region right into the urban planning. But, and this is a big but, Tiber Creek was also a tremendously troublesome flood source. Oh boy, did it cause problems. When the rains came, and they often did, that charming little creek could transform into a raging torrent, spilling over its banks, flooding low-lying areas, and turning the ambitious dreams of a grand capital into a muddy nightmare. It was a constant headache for the early city planners and, more importantly, for the countless workers who were literally building this city from the ground up. Think about the sheer scale of the challenge. You're trying to establish a capital city, lay out streets, construct buildings, and you have this unpredictable waterway that keeps throwing a wrench into your plans. It wasn't just an inconvenience. It was a major obstacle to progress and a threat to the health and safety of the population. Every heavy downpour was a roll of the dice, and often Tiber Creek would remind everyone who was really in charge of the landscape. And let's spare a thought for the workers, the unsung heroes of our early capital. Their daily reality was a constant battle against nature, and Tiber Creek was one of their fiercest adversaries. They were out there, day in and day out, dealing with incredibly challenging conditions. Imagine sinking boots into thick, clinging mud that felt like it wanted to swallow you whole. The banks of the creek were constantly shifting, making any construction work near it precarious and unstable. And then there were the mosquitoes. Oh, the mosquitoes. Standing water and marshy areas are prime breeding grounds for these buzzing nuisances. And in those days, mosquitoes weren't just an annoyance. They carried diseases that could devastate communities. So, these workers weren't just fighting mud and water. They were battling insects and the very real threat of illness, all while toiling under the relentless sun or through chilling rains. It paints a vivid picture, doesn't it? These individuals, often overlooked in the grand narratives of nation-building, were performing incredibly difficult and often dangerous labor. They were the ones digging, hauling, and trying to tame this wild waterway, one shovelful at a time. Their resilience and sheer grit were monumental. They had to be adaptable, resourceful, and incredibly persistent. Every new flood meant more cleanup, more repairs, and more frustration, but they kept at it. The story of Tiber Creek is really a testament to human determination. It's about the struggle to impose order on nature, to build a future despite the immediate challenges. Ultimately, the city found ways to manage and, in many places, even incorporate Tiber Creek into its infrastructure, but not without immense effort and countless hours of backbreaking labor. This creek, this seemingly minor geographical feature, played such a significant role in the daily lives and long-term planning of our capital. It shaped the contours of the land, dictated where buildings could or couldn't go, and presented an ongoing engineering puzzle. It reminds us that even the grandest visions are built upon the most fundamental realities of the natural world. It's truly inspiring to consider the obstacles our forebears faced and overcame. They didn't have the sophisticated machinery or advanced engineering techniques we possess today. They relied on sheer muscle, simple tools, and an unwavering commitment to the dream of a new capital. Their work transformed a wild landscape into the thriving city we recognize, and parts of Tiber Creek's legacy are still subtly present in our urban design today. So, the next time you walk through our beautiful city, take a moment to imagine that once upon a time, a lively, yet often troublesome, creek flowed beneath your feet. It's a powerful reminder of the layers of history, the human stories, and the natural forces that have shaped our environment. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Chapter 5, the Tiber Creek Challenge. I hope you found this peek into our city's past as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more historical deep dives, and let me know in the comments what other hidden stories you'd like to explore. Your support means the world. See you next time. Today, we read diving into a fascinating and often overlooked chapter of American history. The early days of Washington, D.C. A time when the nation's capital was less a grand city and more, well, let's just say a challenging place to live. We're talking about Chapter 6, Mud, Mosquitoes, and Malaria. Get ready to peel back the layers of pristine white marble and manicured lawns, and instead visualize a very different scene. Imagine stepping back in time to the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Forget air conditioning, bug spray, or even paved roads. What you'd encounter in the heart of what would become Washington, D.C. was a stark, untamed landscape. Picture it. Humid, oppressive heat that clung to you like a second skin, making every breath feel heavy. The air itself was thick, not just with humidity, but often with the buzzing chorus of countless insects. This wasn't just a minor annoyance. It was a daily, relentless assault. Mosquitoes, in particular, weren't just a nuisance. They were a pervasive, almost inescapable presence, especially during the sweltering summer months. The very ground beneath your feet often told a story of its own. Much of the land designated for the new capital was low-lying marshy and prone to flooding. After a good rain, or even just from the natural lay of the land, you'd find yourself navigating through thick, sticky mud. Pathways and nascent streets were often impassable quagmires. Buildings, many still under construction or newly erected, stood precariously in this damp, often waterlogged environment. It was a far cry from the majestic capital we know today, a testament to the sheer resilience, or perhaps stubbornness, of those early settlers. This wasn't just an unpleasant environment, it was a genuinely unhealthy one. The truth about early Washington's climate is that it was, frankly, hostile to human health. While the location was chosen for its strategic importance and central position, little thought was given, or perhaps understood, about the environmental health risks. The Potomac River and its surrounding tributaries, while beautiful, also created extensive wetlands and stagnant pools, the perfect breeding grounds for mosquitoes. And these weren't just any mosquitoes. These were carriers of deadly diseases. The reality of living in this budding capital was a constant struggle against illness. Early settlers, from laborers building the capital to the politicians trying to govern the nascent nation, frequently fell ill. Fevers were rampant, chills were common, and debilitating sickness was a regular occurrence, particularly during the fever season of late summer and early autumn. These episodes of widespread illness quickly cemented Washington, D.C.'s unenviable reputation as an unhealthy place, even earning it the nickname, or rather, the dreaded description, of a swamp. Now, it's important to understand that in the 18th and 19th centuries, medical knowledge about disease transmission was vastly different from today. The germ theory of disease was still centuries away from being widely accepted. So, when people fell sick, often with what we now recognize as malaria, yellow fever, or other mosquito-borne illnesses, they didn't connect it to the tiny buzzing insects. Instead, they often attributed it to bad air or miasma, emanating from the swamps and decaying organic matter. This belief only reinforced the idea that the very environment of Washington, D.C. was inherently toxic. Imagine the fear and uncertainty that must have pervaded daily life. Every headache, every fever, every chill could be the start of something much worse. Families watched as loved ones succumbed to diseases that seemed to strike randomly and without explanation. The summer months, which should have been a time of vibrant life, instead became a period of dread with those who could afford it, often fleeing the city for higher, drier ground in hopes of escaping the clutches of disease. Even prominent figures like presidents and their families weren't immune. Many, including Abigail Adams, wife of John Adams, famously complained about the conditions and fell ill while residing in the new capital. The early records and personal letters from that period paint a vivid, often harrowing, picture. Descriptions of the city as a pestilential swamp weren't just hyperbole. They were reflections of lived experience. The high mortality rates among those working on government buildings, the constant turnover of staff due to illness, and the general air of malaise, all contributed to this grim reputation. It wasn't an easy sell to convince people to move to, let alone thrive in, such a challenging environment. Yet, against all odds, the work of building a nation continued. The efforts to mitigate these issues were often misguided, due to the lack of scientific understanding. Draining swamps was attempted, but often without full success, and sometimes even creating new problems. People tried various folk remedies: war, protective clothing, or simply resigned themselves to the cycles of illness. It wasn't until much later, with the advent of modern sanitation practices and the understanding of germ theory, that Washington, D.C. truly began its transformation into a healthier environment. The paving of streets, the installation of proper drainage systems, and eventually, the control of mosquito populations, slowly but surely, turned the tide. So, the next time you stroll through the majestic streets of Washington, D.C., or gaze upon its iconic monuments, take a moment to remember this hidden chapter. Remember the mud, the relentless mosquitoes, and the constant threat of malaria that defined its early existence. It is a powerful reminder of the incredible journey and the sheer human will that went into forging this nation's capital from what was once considered a disease swamp. It truly gives you a new appreciation for the advancements we enjoy today. What did you find most surprising about early DC? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating stories, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Hey everybody, and welcome back to our journey through history. Today, we're diving into Chapter 7 of our series, where we witnessed an incredible transformation. Capitol Hill rises above the wetlands. Get ready to travel back in time to the early days of Washington, D.C., and discover the truly monumental effort it took to build one of the most iconic structures in the world. Imagine this, a vast, untamed landscape, much of it marshy and wild, chosen to become the heart of a burgeoning new nation. The vision was grand, but the reality was, well, a little muddy. Our story begins on Jenkins Hill, a prominent natural elevation that stood out from the surrounding wetlands. This wasn't just any hill. It was destined to become the foundation for the U.S. Capitol building, a symbol of democracy and strength. But getting it there, that was a saga in itself. In those early days, Washington, D.C. was less a city and more a grand blueprint. The decision to place the Capitol on Jenkins Hill was strategic. Its elevated position offered a commanding view, a natural sense of prominence that fit the ideals of the new republic. But before any grand dome could rise, an immense amount of foundational work was required. We're talking about a true feat of engineering and human endurance, powered almost entirely by grit and muscle. Picture the scene. Legions of workers, a diverse assembly of free laborers, skilled craftsmen, and enslaved individuals, toiled tirelessly under the challenging conditions of the late 18th and early 19th centuries. They were the unsung heroes who literally shaped the landscape of the nation's capital. Their days were filled with back-breaking labor, from dawn till dusk, all to turn a swampy wilderness into a seat of power. One of the most arduous tasks was the hauling of stone. Massive blocks of Tiber Creek sandstone, destined to form the Capitol's walls, had to be quarried miles away and then transported, often by water, up the Potomac River and then overland to Jenkins Hill. Imagine the logistics. These enormous stones, weighing tons, were moved by sheer force. Oxen straining men pushing and pulling, navigating rough terrain with primitive tools. Each stone represented a monumental effort, a testament to the dedication of those who believed in the promise of this new capital. But it wasn't just about bringing materials in. It was also about shaping the very ground beneath their feet. Jenkins Hill, while high, wasn't perfectly flat or entirely stable for such a massive structure. So, another crucial task was leveling hills. Crews, equipped with shovels, picks, and wheelbarrows, meticulously carved away parts of the natural terrain, creating the necessary flat surfaces and terraces for construction. This wasn't done with modern machinery. It was done with raw human power, one shovelful at a time. The earth itself was being sculpted to accommodate the dreams of a nation. And then there were the lowlands. The surrounding areas of what would become Capitol Hill were often marshy, prone to flooding, and unsuitable for urban development. To create a solid foundation for the burgeoning city and to drain away unhealthy stagnant water, these lowlands had to be filled. Workers hauled countless loads of earth, rock, and debris, dumping it into the wetlands, slowly but surely, transforming boggy ground into usable land. This process was essential not just for building, but for public health, as it helped to combat disease that thrived in stagnant water. It was a painstaking, often unpleasant job, but absolutely vital for the future of the capital. This period truly highlights a fascinating contrast. The lofty ideals envisioned by the nation's founders, the grand architectural plans for a beacon of democracy, versus the incredibly muddy, grueling, and often thankless work being done on the ground. On one hand, you had brilliant minds like Pierre L'Enfant, designing a magnificent urban plan, and architects like William Thornton, sketching out the capital's neoclassical grandeur. Their ideas soared, imagining a powerful and elegant symbol for the Republic. On the other hand, below this intellectual and architectural stratosphere was the visceral reality of construction. The sweat, the dirt, the aching muscles, the constant battle against nature. These were the daily experiences of the laborers. It was a world of rough hands, calloused skin, and weary bodies, all contributing to a vision that was, for many, far removed from their immediate daily struggle. This contrast is powerful. The beauty and majesty of the capital today stand as a testament to both the bold visionaries who conceived it and the countless individuals who, with grit and determination, brought that vision to life. Peace. By heavy peace, it reminds us that every grand achievement has its roots in fundamentals, sometimes messy, labor. The very ground upon which our laws are debated and our nation's future is shaped was literally built from the earth up by human hands. So, the next time you see an image of the U.S. Capitol, take a moment to remember Jenkins Hill, the wetlands, and the incredible, monumental effort that went into transforming that landscape. Remember the workers who hauled the stone, leveled the hills, and filled the lowlands. Their legacy is etched into every brick and column, a foundation not just of stone, but of perseverance and collective will. What an incredible chapter in American history. Right. The building of the Capitol wasn't just an architectural project. It was a defining moment, a physical manifestation of a young nation's ambition and resilience. If you found this deep dive into the origins of Capitol Hill as fascinating as I did, please give this video a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue to explore these amazing stories. Do not forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. We've got so much more history to uncover together. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're digging deep, literally, into the fascinating and often overlooked story behind one of America's most iconic structures. We're talking about the very bedrock of power, the silent foundation of the President's House, now known globally as the White House. This is Chapter 8 of our series, and it's all about the White House foundations. Imagine late 18th century Washington, D.C. Not the bustling capital we know today, but a landscape dominated by the untamed Potomac River, its banks marshy and prone to flooding. The visionary planners of this new capital decided on a prime location for the President's House. But the spot, while grand in vision, came with a massive challenge. It sat right near the Potomac's low floodplain. Building a structure as monumental as the President's House on such unstable ground was no small feat. It required incredible ingenuity, brute force, and a level of persistence that truly boggles the mind. So, how did they do it? How did early American engineers and laborers manage to transform a boggy, waterlogged site into stable ground capable of supporting such an enduring symbol? Well, that's precisely what we're going to uncover today. This isn't just a story about bricks and mortar. It's a testament to human determination, problem-solving under extreme conditions, and the often unseen sacrifices that paved the way for monumental achievements. The initial surveys of the land chosen for the President's House painted a daunting picture. The area was characterized by soft, alluvial soils, high water tables, and frequent inundation from the nearby river. For any significant construction, especially for a building intended to stand for centuries, this was an engineering nightmare. Modern construction techniques would involve massive excavation, advanced dewatering systems, and engineered fill. But in the late 1700s, these technologies were centuries away. The methods employed were a blend of traditional knowledge, empirical, problem-solving, and sheer grit. The first critical step was drainage. Water was the primary enemy. Workers, often using nothing more than shovels, picks, and wheelbarrows, began the laborious process of digging extensive trench systems. These trenches served as rudimentary drainage ditches, designed to channel surface water away from the building site and lower the groundwater level. Imagine the backbreaking labor involved, day in and day out, moving tons of wet, heavy earth, often under a scorching sun or in chilling dampness. It was an exercise in pure physical endurance. But drainage alone wasn't enough. The soil itself needed to be stabilized. The soft, compressible earth couldn't support the immense weight of a stone building. This is where a technique known as piling came into play, though not in the sophisticated way we understand it today. Instead of driven piles, they relied on a more primitive yet effective method. Large quantities of rubble, stone, fragments, gravel, and even discarded building materials were brought in and compacted into the excavated areas. These processes, known as ramming or consolidating, aimed to create a dense, stable base. Layers of this material were laid down, often interspersed with sand and clay, and then repeatedly pounded down by hand with heavy mallets or ramers to achieve maximum compaction. Think about the scale of this task. Hundreds, if not thousands, of cubic yards of material needed to be moved, spread, and compacted. Each was a slow, arduous process, each layer adding a fraction of an inch to the stability of the site. This wasn't a quick fix. It was a testament to meticulous, patient labor. The goal was to create a raft or a broad, rigid mat that would distribute the building's weight over a larger area, preventing differential settlement and ensuring the structure wouldn't sink or crack. This entire undertaking was overseen by the supervising architect, James Hoban, and a cadre of skilled master masons and carpenters. But the true unsung heroes of this foundational work were the laborers, and it's crucial to acknowledge who these laborers were. While some were free artisans and tradesmen, a significant portion of the workforce, particularly for the most physically demanding and dangerous tasks, like digging, hauling, and compacting, consisted of enslaved individuals. Their quiet persistence, their daily toil under unimaginable conditions, literally laid the groundwork for the White House. Their names, for the most part, are lost to history, but their contribution is indelibly etched into the very fabric of the nation's capital. They drained the swamps, dug the foundations, quarried the stone, and stabilized the treacherous ground. Without their sweat and endless effort, the vision of a grand president's house might have remained just that, a vision. The story of the White House foundations is a powerful reminder that even the most iconic symbols of strength and permanence are built on the often invisible efforts of many. It's a story of early engineering brilliance, meeting the harsh realities of nature, conquered through sheer human will. The challenges of construction near the Potomac's low floodplain were immense, but the quiet persistence of these early engineers and laborers, many of whom were enslaved, ultimately prevailed. They built not just a foundation for a house, but a literal and symbolic foundation for a new nation. The next time you see a picture of the White House, or perhaps even visit it, take a moment to reflect on what lies beneath the layers of stone, earth, and human endeavor that have held it steadfast for over 2 centuries. It's a powerful legacy, one built on determination, resilience, and the often unacknowledged contributions of those who toiled in the shadows. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the depths of history. If you found this exploration of the White House foundations as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel for more historical deep dives, and let me know in the comments what other historical construction stories you'd like us to uncover. Your support helps us bring these incredible tales to life. See you in the next chapter. Today, we're diving deep into a truly fascinating and maybe a little bit smelly chapter of Washington, D.C.'s history. We're talking about Chapter 9, a city of canals and sewers. Get ready to explore how this grand capital tried to manage its most vital resource, water, and the unexpected challenges that arose. You see, when D.C. was first being planned and built, water management was a monumental task. The founders envisioned a pristine capital, but the reality was a landscape crisscrossed by natural creeks, marshes, and streams. So, what was their solution? They embarked on an ambitious project to manage this water through an intricate network of canals, drainage ditches, and rudimentary sewer systems. It was a pioneering effort for its time, a testament to the grand vision for the new capital. These early canals weren't just for transportation. They were crucial for controlling water flow, moving goods, and attempting to drain the low-lying areas. Many of these man-made waterways, and even the early drainage systems, weren't entirely new creations. Instead, they cleverly followed the paths of existing natural creeks. Think about it. Using the Earth's natural contours to guide their engineering efforts. It was a pragmatic approach, leveraging what nature had already provided. But here's where things get really interesting, and a little less idyllic. As the city grew, these natural creeks, which had become essential parts of the urban infrastructure, started to disappear from view. They weren't just drying up, they were intentionally buried, paved over, built upon, and funneled underground into culverts and, eventually, more sophisticated sewer systems. It was an attempt to modernize, to create more usable land, and to control the elements more effectively. However, this transformation came with its own set of significant problems. The city began to struggle, and I mean asterisk struggle, with some rather unpleasant realities. Despite all the engineering efforts, Washington, D.C. was plagued by foul smells. Imagine walking through the burgeoning capital, and instead of fresh air, you're hit with the stench of stagnant water and waste. Not exactly the grand impression they were hoping for, right? These buried creeks and early, sometimes inadequate, drainage systems often led to stagnant pools forming in various parts of the city. These pools weren't just unsightly, they became breeding grounds for all sorts of issues, including disease vectors like mosquitoes. It was a constant battle between the urban planners' desire for order and the messy realities of early urban sanitation. The vision of a majestic capital was frequently overshadowed by the very practical and often gross challenges of waste and water management. So, while we often admire the grand monuments and meticulously planned avenues of DC, it's fascinating to peel back the layers and discover the less glamorous, yet incredibly important, story of its plumbing. These early struggles ultimately paved the way for the advanced infrastructure we have today, but they certainly weren't without their growing pains. It's a powerful reminder that every great city has its foundational challenges, and overcoming them is a testament to human ingenuity. What do you think about these early attempts to tame nature in DC? Did you know so much of its infrastructure was built atop natural waterways? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey into DC's watery past, please hit that like button. Subscribe for more historical deep dives, and share this video with anyone who loves a good urban history tale. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving deep into some fascinating, and frankly, soggy history. We're picking up our journey through time with Chapter 10, aptly titled Floods and Frustrations, where we'll uncover the surprising truth behind Washington, D.C.'s early reputation. You know how people sometimes jokingly call DC a swamp? Well, it turns out that wasn't always a joke, and it wasn't just about politics. We're talking about actual, literal swamps, and a city that battled the elements right from its very beginnings. Imagine this. The grand vision for the nation's capital, a beacon of democracy. But underneath all that ambition, a constant struggle against the natural landscape. It's a story of nature versus human will. And spoiler alert, nature often won. So, let's set the scene. The 19th century, Washington, D.C. is still a young city, full of promise, but also incredibly vulnerable. One of the biggest challenges, floods, and not just minor puddles. We're talking about significant inundations that turned iconic areas into temporary lakes. Think about Pennsylvania Avenue, the very heart of the capital, envisioned as a grand thoroughfare. In those early days, it wasn't uncommon for it to be completely submerged. Can you imagine horse-drawn carriages trying to navigate through several feet of water? It must have been an absolute nightmare for daily life and commerce. And it wasn't just Pennsylvania Avenue. The National Mall, that vast expanse of green space we know today, suffered the same watery fate. Before it was meticulously landscaped, it was low-lying close to the Tiber Creek, which frequently overflowed. Imagine trying to conduct the nation's business with the very grounds around you resembling a giant, muddy marsh. It truly paints a vivid picture of the struggles faced by the early residents and lawmakers. These weren't isolated incidents. These floods were a recurring headache, a constant reminder that nature had its own plans, regardless of human aspirations. Now, let us talk about the people who had to deal with this firsthand. The early members of Congress, they weren't exactly thrilled with their new capital. Their letters and speeches from that era are filled with complaints that are almost comical to us today, but were very real frustrations for them. Top of the list, the streets. We're not talking about a few potholes. We're talking about deeply rutted, often impassable quagmires of mud. Imagine arriving in the capital, expecting a grand city, only to find yourself sinking knee-deep in mud trying to get to the Capitol building. It must have been quite the unwelcome surprise. And it wasn't just the mud. The very buildings themselves were struggling. Early construction in D.C. wasn't always top-notch, and the unstable, swampy ground didn't help. Congressmen frequently complained about buildings literally sinking into the soft earth. Picture grand government edifices meant to symbolize stability and strength, showing visible signs of walls cracking, foundations shifting. It was a constant battle against gravity and geology. These weren't minor annoyances. These were significant structural problems that cast a shadow over the young capital's image. They truly felt like they were trying to build a city on shaky ground, both literally and figuratively. These daily struggles with floods, mud, and sinking buildings quickly seeped into the public consciousness and, more importantly, into the newspapers and speeches of the time. This is where our infamous swamp label truly took root. It wasn't just a casual insult. It was a descriptive, albeit unflattering, term that captured the essence of the city's early challenges. Editors and politicians, frustrated by the conditions, began to widely use the swamp to describe Washington, D.C. It was a potent image. A place bogged down, literally and figuratively, by its environment and, sometimes, by its own inefficiency. You can find countless references in historical documents, newspaper articles, and personal correspondence from the 19th century referring to D.C. as a swamp. It wasn't merely a political jab. It was a widely accepted, almost geographical descriptor. This powerful imagery quickly became shorthand for everything that was perceived as problematic about the nation's capital, the physical difficulties, the slow pace of governance, and the often perceived muddled decisions. It was a term that stuck, and centuries later, it still resonates, though often with a different connotation. It's fascinating how a physical reality can evolve into a political metaphor that endures through generations. So, the next time you hear someone jokingly call Washington, D.C. the swamp, you'll know the incredible, muddy, flood-prone history behind that phrase. It is a testament to the perseverance of those early Americans who literally built the capital from the ground up, battling nature every step of the way. It reminds us that even the grandest visions have to contend with the realities of the natural world. What do you think about DC's early struggles? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history, please hit that like button, subscribe for more fascinating stories, and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next chapter. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating chapter of American history, one that literally reshaped the landscape of our nation's capital. The Reclamation Movement. If you've ever strolled through the magnificent National Mall in Washington, D.C., admired its grand scale, or enjoyed the serene beauty of the Potomac River, you're actually witnessing the legacy of an incredible transformation that kicked off right at the turn of the 20th century. It's easy to look at the iconic views of D.C. today and assume it always looked this way, but that's far from the truth. Imagine Washington, D.C. around 1900. Picture a city with vastly different waterfronts, low-lying swampy areas, and a national mall that was, believe it or not, a far cry from the manicured, monumental expanse we know today. It was a place struggling with drainage, prone to flooding, and honestly, not quite living up to its potential as the capital of a growing nation. This is where our story begins, with a vision to transform, to reclaim, and to build something truly grand. At the heart of this colossal undertaking was the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. When we think of the Corps, we often imagine them building dams or managing waterways. And indeed, that's precisely what they were tasked with in Washington, D.C. But this wasn't just about civil engineering. It was about nation building, about creating a landscape that reflected the ambition and dignity of the United States. Their mission was clear: to take what was largely perceived as a problematic, marshy environment and turn it into a symbol of power, order, and beauty. So, How did they do it? Well, it involved some truly massive engineering feats. One of the primary tasks was the extensive dredging of the Potomac River. This wasn't just about deepening the channel for navigation, though that was certainly a benefit. The main goal was to extract an enormous amount of sediment, mud, and earth from the riverbed. This dredged material wasn't just discarded, it was put to work. It became the very foundation for the city's future. Imagine the sheer scale of this operation. Countless barges, dredges, and laborers working tirelessly, day in and day out, to pull material from the river. This wasn't done with modern hydraulic dredges and GPS. This was a monumental effort, relying on early 20th century technology and immense human labor. The aim was to create a more defined river edge, prevent seasonal flooding, and, most importantly, generate the fill material needed for the city's expansion. With all this dredged material, the Corps of Engineers embarked on the second, equally crucial part of their mission: filling low areas. Washington, Donsa, particularly near the Potomac, had significant stretches of marshland and tidal flats that were often waterlogged and considered unhealthy. These areas were not only prone to disease, but also hindered urban development. The solution was to systematically raise the elevation of these lands, using the material excavated from the river. Think about it. They were literally building new ground, creating dry, stable land where once there was bog and mire. This process transformed vast sections of the city, making them suitable for construction in public parks. It was a painstaking and long-term project, but the results were nothing short of revolutionary for the city's geography and public health. This land reclamation fundamentally changed the relationship between the city and its natural environment, bringing order to what was once a somewhat chaotic landscape. But the most iconic beneficiary of this reclamation effort was undoubtedly the National Mall. Before the Corps of Engineers stepped in, the mall was a very different place. It wasn't the open, expansive green space bordered by majestic museums and monuments we know today. Parts of it were still marshy, others were disused industrial land, and it lacked a cohesive, grand design. The visionaries of the time, influenced by the city beautiful movement, saw an opportunity to transform it into a monumental civic space worthy of the nation. Using the fill from the Potomac, the Corps reshaped the entire area. They raised the grade, leveled uneven terrain, and laid the groundwork for the future landscaping and architectural masterpieces. That would define the mall. This wasn't just about making it dry. It was about creating a blank canvas upon which the dreams of a monumental capital could be painted. The meticulous planning, the careful grading, the sheer volume of earth, moved it all, contributed to the birth of what we now recognize as one of the world's most impressive urban parks. The result of all this tireless work, this incredible foresight, and this massive engineering undertaking was the birth of today's monumental dryer, an elegant landscape of Washington, D.C. From the Lincoln Memorial to the Jefferson Memorial, many of the iconic sites we cherish today stand on land that was literally built from the riverbed. The reflective pool, the vast lawns, the carefully planned vistas, all owe their existence, in part, to this reclamation movement. This wasn't just about adding land. It was about creating a sense of permanence, grandeur, and national pride. The transformed mall became a place where people could gather, protest, celebrate, and reflect on the nation's ideals. It became a powerful symbol of American democracy and resilience. The stable ground allowed for the construction of the grand institutions and memorials that defined D.C. It transformed a city that was once geographically challenged into a beacon of architectural and urban planning excellence. So the next time you see a picture of the Washington Monument towering over the reflecting pool, or you walk along the banks of the Potomac in D.C., take a moment to appreciate the incredible vision and labor that went into creating that landscape. It is a testament to human ingenuity and the power of a collective dream to shape our physical world. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, through their dredging and filling, didn't just move earth. They helped solidify the image of a nation's capital, giving us the monumental, dry, and elegant D.C. we cherish today. What do you think about this incredible transformation? Did you know the mall was once so different? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this journey through history and appreciate learning about the hidden stories behind our iconic landmarks, please hit that like button. share this video with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating content like this. Your support truly helps us bring more of these incredible stories to life. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Today, we're diving deep into an incredible story, a true transformation of epic proportions, right in the heart of America. We're talking about Chapter 12 of our journey. The National Mall takes shape. Get ready to have your mind blown by how the iconic, flat, grassy expanse we all know and love came to be. When you stroll along the National Mall today, taking in the majestic monuments, the sprawling green lawns, and the vibrant energy, it's easy to imagine it always looked this way, a perfect, serene tableau for national celebration and contemplation. But what if I told you that this very spot, this emblem of American democracy and landscape design, was once a swamp? Yes, you heard that right. We're going to uncover the fascinating, almost unbelievable story of how a literal marshland was meticulously transformed into the glorious space we cherish. It's a tale of ambition, engineering marvels, and an unwavering vision that reshaped the very earth beneath our feet. Now, let's set the scene. Imagine Washington, D.C. in its early days. The Potomac River, a mighty waterway, frequently overflowed its banks, turning much of the area we now call the Mall into a soggy, mosquito-infested mire. It wasn't the picture of grandeur that Pierre L'Enfant, the brilliant French-American engineer and architect, envisioned when he laid out his grand plan for the nation's capital in 1791. L'Enfant's vision was a magnificent grand avenue stretching from the capital to the Potomac, a monumental public space worthy of a great nation. But reality, at the time, was far less inspiring. It was a challenging environment, prone to flooding, and certainly not ready for marble monuments. So, how did we get from a waterlogged, marshy tract to the iconic, perfectly flat, grassy mall that hosts everything from presidential inaugurations to massive demonstrations and peaceful picnics? This wasn't a natural evolution. It was a monumental feat of human ingenuity and sheer determination. The secret: engineered soil and fill. Lots and lots of it. This wasn't just about draining a swamp. It was about fundamentally reshaping the topography, literally building up the land from scratch. The process began in earnest during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. Think about the technology of the time. No massive hydraulic dredges as we have today. No GPS guide. This was an incredible undertaking for its era. Much of the fill material came directly from the dredging of the Potomac River itself, a genius move that served a dual purpose: deepening the river channel for navigation and providing the necessary earth to raise the elevation of the future mall. Imagine the endless procession of barges, trains, and horse-drawn carts, meticulously transporting earth to this grand construction site. It was an environmental and engineering project on a scale rarely seen before. The aim was not just to make the land dry, but to create a perfectly level, symmetrical canvas that aligned with the principles of neoclassical design and L'Enfant's original, albeit modified, vision. This wasn't about fighting nature. It was about understanding it and then carefully, strategically, molding it to serve a higher purpose. The transformation from a muddy marsh to a stable foundation for grand structures was a slow, painstaking process. It required careful planning, an understanding of drainage, and a massive investment of resources and labor. And what emerged from this incredible effort? A landscape of unparalleled beauty and significance. The flat, grassy expanse isn't just aesthetically pleasing, it's functional. It provides the perfect stage for the unfolding of national events, a place where millions can gather, protest, celebrate, and reflect. The very soil beneath our feet on the Mall holds a story of innovation, perseverance, and the collective will to realize a grand vision. It is a testament to how human hands and minds can collaborate to create something truly extraordinary from challenging beginnings. This story also highlights a fascinating shift in our relationship with the natural environment. While we often think of taming nature, this project was more about intelligent adaptation and creation. The engineering of the land allowed for the placement of those magnificent marble monuments we now associate with the Mall. Imagine the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the National Museum of Natural History. None of these iconic structures could stand securely on a marshy floodplain. They required a solid, stable foundation, painstakingly constructed over decades. This transformation wasn't a sudden event, but a gradual, peaceful evolution. Spanning many years, it was a testament to long-term planning and the dedication of countless individuals, from engineers and landscape architects to laborers who moved tons of earth. The marshland, once a wild and untamed space, gave way to a meticulously designed landscape, a symbol of order, democracy, and national pride. It is a powerful reminder that even the most iconic and seemingly permanent features of our world often have dynamic, surprising histories. So, the next time you visit the National Mall, take a moment to look beyond the monuments and the green grass. Imagine the swamp that once lay there. Think about the incredible feat of engineering that raised the land, layer by layer, transforming a challenging natural environment into one of the most recognizable and cherished public spaces on Earth. It's a story of vision, hard work, and the enduring power of human ingenuity. It's not just a beautiful park, it's a living monument to human achievement. This incredible transformation from marshland to marble monuments is truly inspiring, isn't it? It reminds us that with vision and determination, anything is possible. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Chapter 12 of our story. I hope you found this deep dive into the making of the National Mall as fascinating as I did. If you enjoyed learning about this incredible historical transformation, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. Your support helps us keep exploring these amazing stories. See you next time. Today, we're diving deep, not into the ocean, but right beneath our feet, into a hidden world that most people walk over every single day without even realizing it. We're talking about the secret rivers flowing right under our cities. Imagine ancient waterways, once shaping the very landscape, now quietly continuing their journey, tucked away from plain sight. It's like a secret history flowing beneath the modern world, a constant, gentle hum beneath the concrete jungle. Our adventure today takes us to one of the most fascinating examples, Tiber Creek. Now, for those of you who know your history, the name Tiber might ring a bell. Think Rome, but this Tiber is right here, a fundamental part of Washington, D.C.'s past and present. It is an almost mythical waterway that played a crucial role in the early development of the nation's capital. When Pierre L'Enfant was designing the city, Tiber Creek was a prominent feature, influencing the layout and even the aesthetic of the burgeoning capital. It wasn't just a creek, it was a lifeline, a natural boundary, and a source of fresh water that shaped decisions about where to place buildings and establish thoroughfares. But as DC grew, modern life demanded space, and engineering marvels sought to tame nature. Slowly, piece by piece, Tiber Creek was swallowed, channelized, and eventually buried beneath the very city it helped create. Today, this incredible waterway still flows, not as a meandering stream through parks, but as a silent, subterranean river, navigating a labyrinth of tunnels and sewers. Think about that for a moment. Beneath the bustling streets, the honking cars, and the hurried footsteps, an ancient river persists, following its age-old course, albeit through man-made conduits. It's a testament to nature's resilience, and a fascinating intersection of urban planning and natural geography. This isn't just about water flowing. It's about history literally running beneath our daily lives. And get this, parts of Tiber Creek, along with other lesser-known waterways, are still flowing right beneath some of Washington, D.C.'s most iconic landmarks. We're talking about places like Constitution Avenue. Next time you're walking or driving down that historic thoroughfare, picture this. Right beneath your tires, a hidden river flows. It's an invisible current, connecting past and present, a silent witness to countless historical events unfolding above it. It's truly mind-boggling to imagine. Even more incredibly, some of these subterranean streams snake their way under the very foundation of the National Archives building. Yes, the repository of America's most precious historical documents, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, stands majestically above a hidden river that has been flowing for millennia. It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? The foundations of our nation, both literally and figuratively, are built upon layers of history, some seen, some unseen, some acknowledged, some forgotten, until now. It adds an entirely new dimension to these familiar places, turning them into points of mystery and wonder. It reminds us that even in our most meticulously planned and developed urban environments, nature quietly continues its course. These hidden rivers are a powerful reminder that we are always connected to the natural world, even when we try to pave over it. They challenge our perception of what a city truly is. Not just concrete and steel, but also living, breathing systems, with ancient natural rhythms pulsing beneath the surface. It's a beautiful thought, a sense of wildness persevering right at the heart of civilization. So, the next time you're walking through a city, take a moment, pause, look around, and then let your imagination wander beneath the pavement. Consider what hidden histories, what ancient rivers might be flowing just out of sight beneath your very feet. These unseen waterways are a vibrant part of our urban ecosystem, a whisper of the past echoing into the present. They remind us that even in the most built-up environments, there's always a touch of the wild, a secret stream connecting us to a deeper, older world. Thank you so much for joining me on this fascinating journey beneath the city streets. I hope you enjoyed uncovering these hidden rivers as much as I did, sharing them with you. If you've found this glimpse into urban geography intriguing, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. We've got so many more hidden wonders to explore together. See you next time. We're opening Chapter 14, titled The Myth Becomes a Metaphor, and it is all about tracing the incredible journey of a seemingly simple phrase. Washington was built on a swamp. You've heard it, I've heard it, we all have. But have you ever stopped to think about how this tidbit, often repeated as a fact, transformed into such a powerful piece of political rhetoric? It's a phrase that conjures images, doesn't it? Of sticky, murky ground, perhaps a breeding ground for something unwelcome. And that's precisely why it's become so ingrained in our collective consciousness, especially when discussing the inner workings of American politics. So let's peel back the layers and uncover the truth behind this enduring metaphor. First, let's address the geographical reality, or rather, the geographical inaccuracy. Was Washington, D.C. literally built on a vast, disease-ridden swamp? Well, not exactly in the way the phrase implies. While parts of the area chosen for the capital were indeed Lolian and marshes, particularly along the Potomac River, it wasn't a universal, impenetrable swamp stretching for miles. The choice of location was strategic, aiming for a central point between the northern and southern states, with access to waterways. Pierre L'Enfant's original design envisioned a grand city, not a bog. But the image of the swamp is far more compelling than a city built near some marshy areas. So, if it's not entirely accurate geographically, how did this particular narrative take root and flourish? It's a brilliant example of how a memorable, albeit simplified, image can override complex historical and geographical truths. The sheer visual power of a swamp dark, difficult to navigate, potentially dangerous makes it a fertile ground for metaphor. It's much easier to grasp than explaining intricate urban planning or geological surveys. Now, let's pivot to its evolution into political rhetoric. This is where things get really interesting. The phrase Washington was built on a swamp didn't just appear overnight. As a political slogan, it simmered, gaining traction over decades, even centuries, as a shorthand for something more insidious. It became a powerful tool to symbolize corruption, inefficiency, and dysfunction within the government. Think about it. A swamp is where things get stuck, where progress is slow, where hidden dangers lurk beneath the surface. It's an environment that seems to resist clarity and transparency. When people feel that their government is bogged down by bureaucracy, special interests, or a lack of accountability, what better way to describe it than as a swamp? It resonates with a deep-seated frustration many feel towards political systems. Historically, this metaphor gained significant traction during periods of public disillusionment. Whenever there were scandals, legislative gridlock, or a perceived disconnect between the people and their representatives, the swamp imagery would resurface. It offered a simple, emotionally charged explanation for complex problems. Instead of delving into intricate policy failures or systemic issues, one could simply declare, "It's the swamp," and instantly convey a sense of pervasive decay. This isn't just an American phenomenon either. Though its application to Washington, D.C. is certainly unique, the idea of a corrupt system being a morass or a quagmire exists in many cultures. But the swamp here takes on a very specific, almost literal dimension. Tying into that initial, partially true geographical observation, it's a myth that gives its metaphorical meaning an extra layer of perceived authenticity, even when the literal truth is stretched thin. The phrase truly cemented its place in the political lexicon when it became a rallying cry. Politicians, particularly those positioning themselves as outsiders or reformers, have leveraged it to great effect. By promising to drain the swamp, they position themselves as agents of change, ready to clean up the mess and restore integrity. This promise resonates deeply with voters who feel alienated or betrayed by the political establishment. It has a powerful narrative because it offers a clear villain, the swamp itself, and a clear solution, draining it. What's truly fascinating is how this phrase persists in the public imagination. Despite repeated efforts to clarify the historical and geographical context, you can tell people that DC isn't literally a giant swamp, that engineers worked hard to build a capital city, and they might nod in agreement. But when the next political scandal breaks, or when a piece of legislation stalls, the swamp metaphor will inevitably reappear. Why? Because it serves a critical function. It provides a simple, relatable, and evocative framework for understanding complex governmental challenges. It taps into a shared cultural understanding of what a swamp represents: stagnation, hidden dangers, and a lack of purity. It is a testament to the power of storytelling and how deeply metaphors can embed themselves in our language and thought processes. Even if we rationally know it's not entirely true, emotionally, it feels true when applied to political dysfunction. So, the next time you hear someone say Washington was built on a swamp, remember Chapter 14. Remember how a partial geographical truth was transformed into a potent political weapon, a shorthand for all that's perceived as wrong with government. It's a phrase that lives on, not because of its scientific accuracy, but because of its unparalleled ability to symbolize corruption and dysfunction in the hearts and minds of the public. It serves as a powerful reminder that words matter, and how narratives, once established, can take on a life of their own, shaping our understanding of the world around us. It's a myth that transcended its literal meaning to become a truly iconic metaphor. What are your thoughts on this enduring phrase? Have you used it? Heard it in political debates? Let me know in the comments below. If you found this dive into political rhetoric as intriguing as I did, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss our next chapter. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. We're opening up Chapter 15 of our ongoing exploration, and it's titled Engineers versus Nature. Doesn't that just spark your curiosity? In this chapter, we're going to peel back the layers and truly explore the incredible, often monumental, efforts of engineers, city planners, and scientists. Their mission: to control some of nature's most powerful and unpredictable forces. Floods and drainage. It's a story as old as civilization itself, really. A constant dance between our drive to build and thrive and nature's inherent power. Think about it. From the earliest human settlements, we've sought to live near water for sustenance, for trade, for life itself. But with that proximity comes the inevitable challenge of too much water, or water in the wrong place. And that's where the ingenious minds come in. We'll be looking at historical examples, the modern marvels, tracing the evolution of our understanding and our technology. This isn't just a tale of concrete and calculations, though. It's also a profound reflection on the delicate, sometimes tense, balance between nature's undeniable persistence and human ambition. Nature, in its essence, is indifferent to our plans. It follows its own cycles, its own rhythms. And yet, we, with our dreams of secure homes, fertile fields, and bustling cities, continually strive to adapt, to mitigate, And sometimes, yes, even to control. It's a continuous negotiation, a grand, intricate chess match played on a global scale. We'll see how entire landscapes have been reshaped, how innovative solutions have saved countless lives and livelihoods, and how, even with our most advanced tools, we're always learning, always refining our approach. It's a testament to human ingenuity, certainly, but also a humbling reminder of nature's immense power. We'll look at everything from ancient aqueducts and dikes to modern-day smart cities and advanced flood prediction systems. It's a journey through human history and technological progress, all centered around this fundamental interaction with water. So, prepare for a calm reflection today, a reflection on resilience, the incredible human capacity to bounce back, to rebuild, to learn from past challenges, and a reflection on adaptation, our unending quest to live in harmony, or at least in a sustainable coexistence with the natural world around us. It's about how we learn to live asterisk with asterisk nature, rather than always fighting asterisk against asterisk. This chapter promises to be thought-provoking, inspiring, and perhaps even a little awe-inspiring as we witness the sheer scale of these endeavors. Stick around, because this is going to be a fascinating deep dive. If you're new here, do and forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you and miss any of our upcoming chapters. For all my returning viewers, it's wonderful to have you back. Let's get started. Our story truly begins with understanding the fundamental forces at play. Water, as we all know, is essential for life, but it also wields immense power. Rivers carve canyons, reshape coastlines, and, when angered by heavy rains or snowmelt, can swell into destructive forces, reclaiming land we've meticulously built upon. Historically, early civilizations instinctively understood this duality. They settled near rivers for fertile land and transportation, yet constantly battled the threat of inundation. The earliest engineers were likely those who simply observed patterns, building rudimentary levees or elevating their homes. Think of ancient Egypt and the annual flooding of the Nile. It was the lifeblood of their civilization, depositing rich silt that made their land incredibly fertile. But uncontrolled, it could also be devastating. Their engineers and planners developed sophisticated systems of canals and basins to manage this flood, distributing water and storing it for dry periods. This wasn't about fighting nature, but understanding its rhythm and working asterisk. With asterisk they adapted their entire society around this natural cycle. Their success hinged on accurate prediction and communal effort, demonstrating an early form of hydraulic engineering. Moving forward in time, the Romans, master builders that they were, tackled drainage on an entirely different scale. Their cities, especially Rome itself, required sophisticated sanitation and water supply systems. The Cloaca Maxima, one of the world's earliest sewer systems, is a testament to their engineering prowess, an underground network designed to drain marshlands and remove waste from their burgeoning capital. This allowed their city to grow and thrive without succumbing to disease or standing water. It was a clear demonstration of how controlling water could literally enable urban development and public health. But the challenge wasn't just about managing daily water. It was about the massive, unpredictable events. Medieval Europe, with its reliance on agriculture and its many river towns, faced constant flood threats. Early attempts at flood control were localized and often temporary, focusing on defensive structures like walls and basic earthworks. The engineering then was often more about brute force and local knowledge passed down through generations than about grand scientific planning. The Renaissance and the scientific revolution brought new ways of thinking. Leonardo da Vinci, for example, designed numerous hydraulic machines and envisioned large-scale canal systems, demonstrating a conceptual leap in understanding water flow and management. These ideas laid some of the groundwork for more ambitious projects centuries later. Fast forward to the Dutch, who perhaps embody the engineers versus nature theme more than anyone else. Living largely below sea level, their very existence is a testament to human ambition and engineering resilience against the persistent forces of water. The iconic windmills, often seen as symbols of their fight, were not just for grinding grain. Many were crucial components of their elaborate polder systems, pumping water out of reclaimed land back into canals and rivers, creating new land from the sea. Their dikes and dams are legendary, a constant battle against the North Sea, pushing back the boundaries of nature itself. The sheer scale of their hydraulic engineering, from the offsluitage to their complex water management boards, is a living museum of human perseverance. The Industrial Revolution, while bringing immense technological advancements, also brought new challenges. Rapid urbanization often meant building in floodplains, and the need for water power led to the construction of dams and canals on an unprecedented scale. But these interventions often had unintended consequences, altering natural ecosystems and sometimes exacerbating flood risks downstream. It became increasingly clear that every action had a reaction within the complex system of nature. In the 19th and 20th centuries, as populations exploded and agricultural needs intensified, the scale of flood control and drainage projects grew exponentially. Large-scale river channelization, massive dam constructions like the Hoover Dam, and extensive levee systems became common. These were triumphs of civil engineering, designed to provide hydroelectric power, irrigation, and flood protection for vast regions. The underlying philosophy was often one of dominance, to tame the river, to bend nature to our will. However, experience taught us valuable, sometimes painful, lessons. We learned that simply building bigger walls wasn't always the answer. Rivers are dynamic systems, and confining them too rigidly can lead to increased velocity, scour, and catastrophic failures when extreme events occur. We also began to understand the ecological costs, the loss of wetlands, habitats, and natural floodplains that once absorbed excess water. The focus began to shift from simply controlling to managing and, eventually, to coexisting. Modern engineers, planners, and scientists are at the forefront of this evolving approach. Today, the work is far more integrated and multidisciplinary. Hydrologists use sophisticated models to predict flood patterns with greater accuracy. Urban planners design resilient cities with permeable surfaces and green infrastructure, and environmental scientists work to restore natural floodplains and wetlands, recognizing their crucial role in water management. The focus is now on living with water, rather than just fighting it. Think about the concept of room for the river. In places like the Netherlands, where rather than building ever higher dikes, they are strategically widening riverbeds, creating bypasses, and even lowering floodplains to give the river more space during high water events. This is a profound shift in mindset, acknowledging nature's power and working asterisk with asterisk it to achieve better, more sustainable outcomes. It's about building flexibility and redundancy into our systems. Another fascinating aspect is the rise of smart drainage systems in urban areas. These systems use sensors, real-time weather data, and predictive analytics to manage stormwater more effectively, diverting it to underground storage, green spaces, or treatment facilities, rather than overwhelming traditional sewer systems. This reduces flood risk and also helps to manage water quality, turning a potential hazard into a resource. The balance between nature's persistence and human ambition is a constant tightrope walk. We aspire to build, to grow, to protect our communities. Nature, with its unpredictable storms, its shifting coastlines, and its relentless hydrological cycle, continually challenges those ambitions. The engineers, planners, and scientists in this story are not just building structures. They are building knowledge, understanding, and a more adaptive relationship with our planet. They are the interpreters between human needs and natural processes. This brings us to our calm reflection on resilience and adaptation. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back after a disaster. It's about designing systems and communities that can absorb shocks and recover quickly, or even avoid significant damage in the first place. It's about proactive planning, not just reactive repair. And adaptation is our ongoing ability to learn, to innovate, and to adjust our strategies in the face of changing environmental conditions, especially with the accelerating impacts of climate change. We are seeing cities around the world adapting to rising sea levels, more intense rainfall events, and prolonged droughts. This involves everything from developing drought-resistant urban landscapes to elevating infrastructure and creating floodable parks. It's a continuous process of learning from both successes and failures, and recognizing that our approach must be as dynamic as nature itself. Ultimately, engineers versus nature isn't a battle to be won or lost in a definitive sense. It's an ongoing dialogue, a dynamic relationship where human ingenuity strives to find sustainable ways to coexist with powerful natural forces. It's a story of collaboration, not just between humans and their tools, but increasingly between human design and natural processes. It reminds us of our incredible capacity for innovation, problem solving, and our deep, inherent drive to protect our homes and our future. It's truly inspiring to see how far we've come in understanding and managing these complex systems. And it's even more inspiring to consider the future, where technology and ecological understanding will continue to merge, helping us build a more resilient and harmonious world. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through Chapter 15. Hope you found this exploration as thought-provoking as I did. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next chapter. Your support means the world to me. See you next time. Today, we're diving deep into a fascinating topic that often goes unnoticed, even by those who walk its streets every day. We're calling this Chapter 16. The Beauty Beneath the Marble, because we're re-exploring the hidden foundations of one of the world's most iconic cities. Washington, D.C. now. When you think of D.C., what comes to mind? Majestic monuments, grand avenues, pristine parks, right? You picture the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, the Capitol Building, all standing tall and proud, gleaming in the sunlight. But have you ever paused to consider what's underneath all that splendor? How much of DC's breathtaking beauty, its very essence, rests on centuries of reshaped land, transformed and molded by human hands and the relentless march of time? It's a thought that truly gives you pause, isn't it? The city we see today is a masterpiece, but it's built upon a much older, quieter story. Imagine this. Some of those awe-inspiring monuments that command our respect and admiration. Today they stand precisely where mud once pooled, where marshes stretched, or where the natural landscape was far removed from the manicured perfection we now associate with the Capitol. It is a striking contrast. The stark reality of the original terrain versus the monumental ambition that transformed it. This isn't just about moving a few rocks. It's about massive engineering feats, about altering waterways, draining wetlands, and leveling hills to create the ideal canvas for a nation's capital. Think of the sheer human effort, the vision, and the determination required to reshape an entire environment to such an extent. It's truly mind-boggling when you consider the tools and technology available centuries ago. And then there are the quiet layers of history, lying just below the bustling footsteps of millions of tourists, diplomats, and residents. Every step taken on DC's sidewalks, every car driving down its boulevards, is literally traversing over countless stories, forgotten landscapes, and the very bones of the land itself. It's not just ancient geological strata, though that's certainly part of it. It's also the remnants of early settlements, the pathways of indigenous peoples, the traces of agricultural fields, and the discarded materials of generations past. This unseen history isn't static. It's constantly interacting with the present, subtly influencing everything from the city's drainage systems to the stability of its grand structures. Let's zoom out a bit. When the site for the Capitol was chosen, it wasn't some perfectly flat, ready-made canvas. The land was a mix of hills, valleys, tidal marshes along the Potomac River, and a meandering stream called Tiber Creek. This creek, believe it or not, once flowed right through where the National Mall is today. Can you imagine the iconic reflection pool being a natural, winding creek? The visionaries like Pierre L'Enfant, who designed the city, didn't just lay out streets. They embarked on an epic project of environmental engineering. They had to fill in vast marshlands, channel and bury Tiber Creek, and level hills to create the broad, open spaces and the commanding vistas that are characteristic of DC. Consider the Washington Monument. For instance, its imposing height and seemingly effortless rise from the ground belie a complex foundation built on shifting soils. Early construction faced significant challenges due to the swampy ground, requiring a much larger and deeper foundation than initially planned. It is a testament to human ingenuity and perseverance that such a massive obelisk could be securely anchored in what was once, quite literally, a bog. Every iconic structure in DC has a similar, untold story of battling the elements, adapting to the land, and ultimately triumphing over its natural contours. The National Mall itself is a prime example. What appears to be a vast, open lawn, stretching between the Capitol and the Lincoln Memorial, was once a series of waterways, inlets, and uneven terrain. The creation of the mall as we know it involved massive dredging and filling operations, effectively creating new land from what was once riverbed and marsh. This process not only provided the space for future monuments and museums, but also altered the hydrology of the area forever. It's a man-made landscape, designed to inspire, but built on the radical transformation of nature. And it's not just about grand public spaces. Think about the charming neighborhoods of Capitol Hill or Georgetown. While they retain some of their historical character, even these areas have seen immense topographical changes. Hills have been cut down, valleys filled in, all to accommodate the grid plan and the expanding needs of a growing city. Every old building, every historic street, stands on ground that has been meticulously prepared, leveled, and sometimes even raised over the centuries. This ongoing process of land transformation speaks to a continuous dialogue between human ambition and the natural environment. What does this tell us about DC? It highlights a profound duality. On one hand, it's a city of powerful symbols, of marble and granite, representing enduring ideals. On the other, it's a testament to the sheer physical effort required to build and sustain such a vision. The beauty we admire isn't just in the finished product, but in the story of its making, the struggle, the ingenuity, and the relentless shaping of the earth beneath our feet. It makes you appreciate the city even more, doesn't it? Knowing that every grand vista, every perfectly manicured park, every imposing structure has this deep, rich, and often unseen history flowing beneath it. So next time you find yourself strolling through the Capitol, look a little deeper. Imagine the land as it once was. Hear the quiet echoes of the past beneath the marble. Realize that DC's beauty isn't just skin deep. It's profoundly rooted in the centuries of reshaping and rebuilding that have given it its distinctive character. It's a city that continuously invites us to reflect on the layers of history, both visible and invisible, that define its greatness. This hidden history reminds us that no urban landscape is ever truly static. Cities are living entities, constantly evolving, constantly being reshaped, both overtly and subtly. And understanding this evolution, this deep connection to the land, enriches our appreciation of the places we inhabit. It makes every walk a journey through time. I hope this journey into the hidden foundations of DC has given you a new perspective on this incredible city. It's a reminder that beauty often has roots much deeper and more complex than we initially perceive. What are your thoughts on cities built on transformed landscapes? Have you ever thought about the history literally beneath your feet? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this exploration of DC's hidden depths, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more fascinating insights into history, culture, and the world around us. Your support means the world and helps us keep these stories coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Today, we're diving into something truly special, a journey that takes us beyond the usual hustle and bustle, into the heart of what it means to truly understand our planet. We're opening up Chapter 17, and it's all about environmental lessons. This isn't just another dry lecture, folks. It's a gentle meditation, a moment to reflect on how far we've come and where we're headed, especially when it comes to the incredible world around us. Think about it. How often do we stop to truly appreciate the intricate dance of nature? For so long, human progress was seen as a battle against the wilderness, a triumph over untamed landscapes. But today, our awareness has shifted dramatically. We're not just observing nature anymore. We're actively learning from it, recognizing its immense value, and working hard to protect it. And nowhere is this shift more evident than in our understanding of wetlands and ecosystems. Remember a time, not so long ago, when wetlands were often seen as wastelands, swamps, marshes, bogs. They were frequently drained, filled in, and buried under new developments. They were considered obstacles to progress, places to be conquered and converted into something more useful. But oh, how times have changed. Our modern awareness has brought these vital landscapes into the spotlight, revealing their crucial roles in supporting biodiversity, purifying water, and even mitigating climate change. We now understand that these aren't just muddy patches. They are nature's sponges, filters, and nurseries, teeming with life and providing invaluable services to our planet. The beauty of this new understanding is that what was once lost, what was once dismissed, is now being cherished and actively protected elsewhere. Landscapes that were once destroyed are now being meticulously restored, and those that remain are safeguarded with a fierce dedication. We're seeing incredible efforts worldwide to preserve remaining wetlands, to re-establish natural water flows, and to create corridors for wildlife. It's a testament to our evolving relationship with the earth, a recognition that true progress isn't about dominating nature, but about living in harmony with it. This chapter really invites us to a gentle meditation on how human progress can not only coexist with natural memory, but also be enriched by it. What do primera mea in AB? Natural memory. It's the earth's inherent wisdom, the patterns of growth and decay, the cycles of life that have unfolded for millennia. It's the silent history held within the soil, the water, and the ancient trees. When we build new cities, develop new technologies, or embark on grand infrastructure projects, are we listening to this memory? Are we designing with nature rather than against it? The answer, increasingly, is yes. We're moving towards an era where innovation is intertwined with ecological responsibility. Architects are designing buildings that blend seamlessly with their environments. Urban planners are integrating green spaces and natural water features into cityscapes, and engineers are developing solutions that mimic natural processes. This isn't just about being eco-friendly. It's about being eco-intelligent. It's about recognizing that the Earth's systems are the ultimate models of sustainability, resilience, and efficiency. Think about the sheer elegance of a natural ecosystem. It operates in perfect balance, recycling nutrients, managing waste, and sustaining countless species without any external input. Now, imagine if our human systems could emulate that. That's the exciting frontier we're exploring. We're not just protecting nature out of guilt or obligation. We're doing it because we understand that our own well-being, our own long-term progress, is intrinsically linked to the health of the planet. This chapter isn't about dwelling on past mistakes, but about celebrating our capacity for learning and growth. It's about acknowledging that while we may have stumbled, we also possess an incredible ability to adapt, to innovate, and to cultivate a deeper respect for the world that sustains us. It's about finding that sweet spot where human ingenuity and natural wisdom converge, creating a future that is both prosperous and sustainable. So, as we close this thought-provoking chapter 17, let's carry this lesson forward. Let's remember the wetlands, the ecosystems, and the silent, enduring memory of our natural world. Let us strive to be the generation that not only advanced human progress, but did so with an unprecedented level of respect and stewardship for our precious planet. Thank you so much for joining me on this reflective journey today. If you found this meditation inspiring, please hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more explorations into the fascinating world around us. Your support means the world. We hear it all the time when people talk about Washington, D.C., suggesting it's some sort of murky, stagnant bog. But what if I told you that, while there's a kernel of truth to the idea of D.C. being a swamp, the reality is far more complex, and frankly, way more fascinating than a simple myth. Get ready to uncover the real story behind D.C.'s origins. For ages, the narrative has been that Washington, D.C. was literally built on a mosquito-infested swamp. It's a vivid image, right? Sticky mud, buzzing insects, and a general sense of unpleasantness, perfectly mirroring the political frustrations many feel. But let's set the record straight, right from the start. D.C. was asterisk, not asterisk. Built directly asterisk on asterisk. A giant, impenetrable swamp. That's the fiction. The fact is, it was established asterisk near asterisk extensive wetlands. This distinction is crucial, and it completely changes our understanding of the city's beginnings and the incredible human effort that went into creating our nation's capital. Imagine the late 18th century. George Washington himself was tasked with choosing the site for the new federal city. He wasn't just looking for a pretty spot. He needed a strategic location. What he found was an area along the Potomac River and the Anacostia River. These rivers, like many natural waterways, were surrounded by low-lying areas, tidal flats, and yes, wetlands. These weren't the deep, dark, primordial swamps you might picture from a horror movie. Think more along the lines of marshes, tidal estuaries, and floodplains. Areas that were wet, certainly, but also incredibly rich in biodiversity and, importantly, manageable with 18th century engineering. So, the founding fathers didn't plop the capital down in the middle of an unworkable bog. Instead, they chose a site with immense potential, recognizing that with some significant effort, these natural features could be harnessed and transformed. And that's exactly what happened. This brings us to the fascinating part, the incredible story of human ingenuity and sheer perseverance that literally shaped the landscape of Washington, D.C. These wetlands were not just left alone. They were systematically drained, managed, and ultimately transformed. Think about the amount of labor and planning that went into this. We're talking about extensive engineering projects for their time. Canals were dug, land was filled, and waterways were rivers like the Tiber Creek, which once meandered through what is now the National Mall, were gradually enclosed and buried, turning open water into solid ground suitable for grand avenues and monumental buildings. It was a massive undertaking, a testament to the vision and determination of the early Americans who wanted to build a capital city worthy of a new nation. The truth, then, is far more nuanced and, dare I say, far more impressive. It's not just about a simple swamp. It's about a deliberate act of shaping nature to fit a grand design. The early planners and laborers didn't shy away from the challenges presented by the landscape. They saw an opportunity. They took what nature provided, fertile land near navigable rivers, and through sheer will and hard work, they built a city from the ground up, literally. This transformation wasn't easy. It involved countless hours of back-breaking labor, often by enslaved people, under harsh conditions. It's a part of the history that deserves to be acknowledged and understood. So, next time you hear someone say, DC is a swamp, remember this. It's a simplification that misses the epic story of creation. It minimizes the incredible feats of engineering, the sacrifices, and the vision that went into establishing one of the world's most iconic capital. CITIES. D.C. This true story isn't about being asterisk on asterisk a swamp. It's about conquering and cultivating a challenging but promising landscape. It's a story of ambition, transformation, and resilience, which, if you think about it, are pretty powerful metaphors for a nation itself. This understanding actually gives us a richer perspective on the city. It highlights how human decisions and actions can dramatically alter our environment, for better or for worse, and how the past continues to shape our present. The remnants of these original wetlands are still there, in the way certain streets flood, or in low-lying areas around the monuments, reminding us of the land's original character. So, the next time you visit DC, or even just think about it, don't just see a concrete jungle or a political arena. Picture the tidal flats, the marshlands, and then imagine the incredible effort it took to drain, fill, and construct the magnificent city that stands today. It's a powerful reminder that nothing worthwhile is built without effort. And sometimes, the truth beneath the saying is far more compelling than the saying itself. What do you think about this historical tidbit? Did you know the full story behind DC's origins? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this dive into history and debunking myths, please hit that like button, share this video with your friends, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more fascinating insights. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on a truly captivating journey, one that takes us through centuries of transformation and enduring spirit. We're diving into Chapter 19. The city that rose from the mud, a symbolic reflection on Washington, D.C.'s incredible endurance. Imagine for a moment a landscape vastly different from the majestic capital we know today. Picture a vast, marshy expanse, prone to flooding, a place some might have dismissed as unfit for a grand capital. This, believe it or not, was the nascent stage of Washington, D.C. Literally a city rising from the mud. It's a powerful metaphor, isn't it? From these humble, even challenging beginnings, a metropolis of marble, monuments, and ideals would eventually emerge. This isn't just about construction. It's about an unwavering vision and the sheer human will to build something extraordinary, even against the odds. Think about the early days, the debates, the skepticism, building a capital in what was essentially swampland. It must have seemed like an almost impossible task. Yet, the visionaries of the time saw beyond the mud and mosquitoes. They saw the potential for a new kind of city, a testament to democracy, a beacon of hope. And that vision, that initial spark, is what started it all. Now, let's fast forward a bit. The 19th century wasn't exactly smooth sailing for our young capital. It faced immense challenges, not least of which was being burned during the War of 1812. Imagine the devastation, the feeling of defeat. Yet, DC didn't just rebuild. It rose from those ashes with renewed determination. This wasn't a city that crumbled under pressure. It was a city that found strength in adversity, reinforcing its foundations, both literally and figuratively. Every brick laid after that fire, every new building erected, was a statement of resilience, a declaration that the American experiment would not just survive, but thrive. And it's not just about grand historical events. The endurance of Washington, D.C. is also reflected in the quiet, persistent efforts of countless individuals. Think of the architects, the stonemasons, the laborers who toiled in challenging conditions, shaping the raw materials into iconic structures. Their hands laid the very foundations, crafted the intricate details, and slowly but surely transformed a vision into a tangible reality. This is the quiet human persistence mirrored in every single stone, every column, every grand foundation of this city. It's a testament to the belief that collective effort can achieve the seemingly impossible. From L'Enfant's grand plans for broad avenues and symbolic spaces to the construction of the Capitol building in the White House, every step was a battle against nature, against skepticism, against the limitations of technology at the time. But the dream persisted. It wasn't just about building structures. It was about building a symbol, a home for a burgeoning democracy. And as you walk through its streets today, you can almost feel the echoes of that early determination in the enduring beauty and solidity of its architecture. The passage of time has only deepened this narrative. DC has witnessed profound shifts in society, moments of triumph and periods of great turmoil. It has been the stage for some of the most pivotal events in human history, from civil rights marches to presidential inaugurations, from scientific breakthroughs to cultural revolutions. Through it all, the city has stood firm, adapting, evolving, yet always retaining its core identity as the heart of a nation. It has weathered economic depressions, social upheavals, and political storms. Each challenge, rather than diminishing it, has arguably strengthened its character, making it more robust, more approachable. The monuments, which might seem static, are in fact living testaments to this resilience, silently witnessing the ebb and flow of history, absorbing the hopes and fears of generations. They remind us that true strength isn't about avoiding challenges, but about facing them head-on and emerging stronger. Consider the evolution of its infrastructure. From those muddy roads, we now have complex transportation networks. From basic utilities, a modern city thrives. This constant development is another facet of its endurance, a continuous commitment to progress, to improving the lives of its inhabitants, and to serving its function as a global capital. It's a dynamic city, always building, always innovating, always looking towards the future while honoring its past. And let's not forget the people. The residents of DC, past and present, are an integral part of this story of endurance. Their daily lives, their work, their communities, all contribute to the vibrant tapestry of the city. Their commitment to their home, their engagement with its ideals, is what truly breathes life into the marble and the monuments. It's the human spirit, the collective heart, that truly defines Washington's enduring appeal. This journey from humble beginnings to a grand capital is truly inspiring. It's a powerful reminder that even the most ambitious dreams can be realized through perseverance, vision, and collective effort. Washington, D.C. stands as a testament to the enduring power of human spirit, a city that literally and metaphorically rose from the mud to become a global symbol of democracy and aspiration. So, the next time you see an image of the Capitol Dome or walk along the National Mall, remember the incredible story behind it. Remember the mud, the challenges, the rebuilding, and the unwavering persistence that sculpted this magnificent city. It's a story that continues to unfold, inspiring us all to build, to dream, and to endure. Thank you so much for joining me on this reflection today. If you found this journey as inspiring as I did, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and do not forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you do not miss our next chapter. We appreciate your support and can't wait to see you in the next one. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, we're taking a gentle journey, slowing things down to truly appreciate a moment of profound calm. This is chapter 20, and we're calling it A Still Night Over the Potomac. So go ahead, find a comfy spot, maybe dim the lights, and let's just breathe. As our gaze drifts, we're met with a breathtaking tableau. The city's lights, soft and shimmering, reflecting like scattered jewels on the calm, dark surface of the Potomac River. It's not a chaotic blaze, but a gentle, almost reverent glow that dances on the water. Each distant lamp, every window pane, contributes to a mirror image that's just as beautiful, if not more so, than the source itself. It's a moment where the man-made world finds a peaceful, natural echo. Think about it. The river, this ancient waterway, has seen countless nights like this. It's witnessed centuries of human ambition, quiet contemplation, and the endless march of time. Yet, here it is, tonight, flowing with the same quiet dignity it always has. There's a profound sense of continuity, a reassuring rhythm that transcends all our daily stresses and fleeting concerns. The Potomac still flows, ancient, patient, and truly unchanged in spirit. It's a powerful reminder that while our lives are often filled with constant motion and rapid change, some things endure. The river doesn't rush or fret. It simply is. It carries its history, its whispers of the past, with an unwavering grace. There's a lesson for us in that, isn't there? To find our own steady current amidst life's inevitable twists and turns. To remember that even when the world feels overwhelming, there are deep, foundational truths that remain constant. As we watch these reflections, almost hypnotized by their gentle sway, allow yourself to truly rest. Let the quiet power of this scene wash over you. Feel the tension in your shoulders ease, your breath deepen, your mind settle. This isn't just about watching a beautiful image. It's about inviting that tranquility into your own being. It's an invitation to pause, to breathe, and to simply be present in this peaceful moment. The air itself seems to hold a sense of history tonight. You can almost feel the presence of all those who have stood by this riverbank before us, looking out at these very same stars, these same reflections. Generations have come and gone, empires have risen and fallen, but the Potomac has continued its journey, a silent witness to it all. And tonight, we join that long lineage, sharing in its timeless embrace. Imagine the stories these waters could tell if they could speak. From indigenous peoples who first called this land home, to the founding fathers who shaped a nation on its banks, to the millions who have lived and loved along its shores, each left an imprint, a whisper in the wind that blows across its surface. And as history settles like a soft mist over the river, we become part of that ongoing narrative, even if just for a single, quiet night. There's a subtle magic in these moments of stillness, where the boundary between past and present seems to blur. The city lights aren't just reflecting tonight's skyline. They're echoing the glow of gas lamps from centuries past, the lanterns of riverboats, the quiet homes that lined these banks in a different era. The river itself is a living museum, holding stories not in glass cases, but in its very current. It's a keeper of secrets, a silent guardian of memory. In this peaceful quiet, we're reminded of the bigger picture. Our individual worries, though valid, feel a little smaller, a little less urgent when viewed against the backdrop of such enduring natural beauty and profound historical depth. It's an opportunity for perspective, for a gentle reset, to remember that we are part of something much larger, a continuous stream of life and time. So, as we bring our journey to a soft close tonight, Let these reflections linger in your mind. Let the steady flow of the Potomac remind you of your own inner strength and resilience. Allow the quiet calm to permeate your spirit, giving you a sense of renewal and peace that you can carry forward into your week. This still night over the Potomac isn't just a beautiful sight. It's an experience, a meditation, a gentle reminder that tranquility is always within reach. Thank you so much. Until next time, take care and find your own moments of stillness.